is Robert Puschautz. I'm an artist in residence at the Diocese at Tyler. I grew up in Chicago, the inner city on the north side, and there were several parishes around where we lived within a few mile radius that were just great, had great examples of sacred art or just beautiful churches, beautiful artwork in them, beautiful paintings, beautiful sculptures, beautiful stained glass. And that was really my first exposure to art. And so growing up at a very early age, I was kind of exposed to some very deep questions about my faith just through the artwork. It wasn't necessarily talked about or through sermons or anything like that, but it was the artwork that taught me. I didn't really start to think more seriously about art until college. I went to a state university, and they basically would assign a concept to explore through your art, and you can pick any material that you wanted. The only thing that really mattered was the idea. In the art world, where ideas became more important than beauty. If the idea was good enough, then an object didn't have to be interesting or beautiful or tell a story. At that point, I was slightly disappointed that we weren't learning skills. Like they weren't teaching skills, they were just teaching us how to think. And I was too young to think that there was any other, I just thought they didn't teach this stuff anymore, that was something in the past, that the people that could paint and draw in the way that I wanted to were just dead, that these things weren't actually available to be passed on. At that point, I was falling away from the faith and I was struggling to figure out what I believed in. And I just so happened to have some friends that were reverting back to the Catholic faith as well, some very close friends. With them kind of rediscovering it, it kind of opened up the door for me to start doing a little bit of reading. So it was really my conversion that started me on this path of moving towards a more traditional medium. So I was trying to always be open, during that time. I had a son. I was trying to be as open as I could to making sure that my intentions, my pursuit of art was not opposed to my family life. I didn't want to be an empty artist, one that was so consumed by his art that it left his relationships empty and ultimately his life empty. My goal was quite the opposite, to experience a rich life and then draw from that experience of richness, bring that and incorporate it into my art. I can just think about this stuff in terms of, oh, my idea is great and interesting, and I'm going to share my ideas with the world. It's like, well, no, when you have responsibility of a child and have a family, you have to be practical about it as well. I did want to show to my kids that if you have a passion for something and you pursue it wholeheartedly, then God may open doors. Moving was what was best for the family, and so there was an opportunity to come down here. I had some friends down here, and after the first year, I was successful. I acquired some commissions and had completed those and was doing fine, but it wasn't enough to support a family. It was, far from it. There was a organization, a prayer apostolate for artists already in the diocese. This organization, the Stabat Mater Art Apostolate, and they offered to provide a stipend for me to create works of art for the churches in the diocese, and I would kind of be at the behest of the bishop. To have the support of the foundation, predominantly I just felt grateful that the Holy Spirit was working in my life, and I think having this kind of stable income allowed me to kind of pursue the art that I wanted to make, which was predominantly sacred and liturgical art, without the pressure of having to sell out, you know, sell out my vision. I want my son, and I want the other families in this area to feel like the church is their home. I don't think that you get that experience in a place that's ugly. I think you're repulsed by it. You want to leave. And I think that was my experience growing up, was that I was in a place that was transcendent, you know, while at the same time feeling very at home there, that I could look around and explore and wonder. I think people do have that experience with their church, their parish church. And if they love it, you know, if they love being inside of it, if they love seeing the images and the beauty of it, they can take a pride in that. That, you know, it is kind of amazing to walk into a place and be like, wow, I didn't create this, but some people, I don't know how them at all, poured all their money and effort into creating something beautiful for me, like several hundred years later or generations later. And I get to experience that benefit of their sacrifice. I think we do feel a sense of home, like a spiritual home, in a place that's beautiful and warm and welcoming. And I think a lot of that has to do with the art that goes in there, as just being familiar and placing us in contact with the transcendent.